Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be doing the Fylo dark theme landing page. So you can head over to frontend.io/challenges. You can scroll all the way to the bottom. It's one of the first challenges, and you can just click on this card. And because I already completed it and I already submitted it, then I'm going to click on restart, but your button is most likely going to be different. So just click on restart, and then I'm going to say download starter, which is going to download the starter files for me. So once it downloads the files for me, you can see it has a zip file right here. I can navigate into my downloads folder, and I'm going to get a zip file called, which one is it? Dark theme landing page, should be this one. So I'm just going to extract this, extract it here, which is going to extract into this folder, which I'm going to right click and say open with code, which is going to open up a new instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder. And I'm just going to open this folder and open the design files, because we're going to be taking a look at the design files. Hello there, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and ring the notification bell so that you're always going to be notified of when I upload a new video. So this is the design that we're going to be working with. We have our logo here, we have some links on the right, we have a showcase image, some text, and then we have this image that is the curved background, and then we have this grid, we have this section, we have the testimonial section, we have the call to action, and then finally the footer on the bottom. Now let me just check that we have these images. I'm not sure whether they provide these images, but you can see that we have the email, we have the phone, we have the location, but I don't think we have the social media images. Yeah, I don't think we have the social media images. So what I'm going to do is, for the social media images, then we're going to be using Font Awesome to generate them. And I also forgot to mention that we're going to be using Tailwind CSS to style this out. And we're going to be using Tailwind version 2 from the CDN, because version 3 usually ends up like messing up with my workflow for some reason. So I'm not going to install Tailwind using npm. Instead, I'm going to just copy the link tag from CDN.js, and then I'm going to paste it here, and let me do that right away. So you can head over into cdnjs.com, and then you can search for Tailwind CSS. This search bar is weird. So Tailwind CSS, you can see it's version 2.2.19. So copy the link tag and then just paste it, paste it above this. And then let's also get Font Awesome. Okay, this search bar. Okay, so copy Font Awesome version 6, then you can paste it here as well. And then let's do this. Let me go and inside my workspace, let me create an index.css file, and then let's move this into our index.css, paste it here and save it, and then add a space. And then on top, we're going to specifying a font family on the body, and it's going to have a fallback of sans serif. So sans serif, and the font family that we need to specify on the body should be in our style guide, and it is called, the body has this one, so open sans. So let's specify open sans here. And then it also says that for headings, call to actions, and header navigation, then the font family is railway. So let's do this. Let me specify for the headings, so h1, h2, h3, h4s, h4s, h5s, and h6. My comma button is not working. h5s and h6, this should be h6. We're going to specify a font family of railway with a fallback of sans serif, and we're going to get these fonts in a moment. But it also says for call to actions, so I'm going to specify a custom class called CTA, which means call to action. And then I'm also going to specify for all the list items. So let me just specify that for all the list items that have a class of, let me say list dash item. And let me just remove this part here. Let me just specify that for the class that has a list item, because we're going to be specifying this on the list items. And then let me go ahead and also specify that for all the paragraphs, I want the line height to be 1.8. And then on top of this, let me specify that all the images should have a max width of 100%, so that they don't overflow outside of the container that they are placed in. And then let me also specify that for all the unordered list items and the ordered list items, as well as for the list items, then I want the list style type to be none, so that we don't have bulleted lists. And that should be okay. So let's go ahead and get these two fonts. So inside our style guide, let's just click on this. We can go ahead and get railway. Loading. So we want which font? 400 and 700. So we want the 400 here, and we want the 700 here. And then we need to go back and also need to get the font that is called Open Sans. This one. We also need to get the 400 and 700 as well. So just scroll to the bottom here, get the regular 400 and the bold 700, and then just use the import tab here. Just copy this, and then you can paste it on top of this. And then now these fonts are going to apply on our body as well as on our on this part here. Now we can save this, and then I'm going to be using an extension called Live Server. You can delete this, it's technically irrelevant. I'm going to use an extension called Live Server, which is going to help me to launch a local development server with hot reloading, so that every time that I make a change in my code editor and save, then it's going to automatically show up in the browser. So if you get into your extensions here and search for Live Server, then you can install it. You don't have to use it, but this is what I'm going to be using. So this extension right here. And so what I'm going to do is just say right click on this and say open a live server, and you can see that it formats everything for me. So I'm just going to say Control Z because I don't want this to format yet. I just want to build up the structure, and then we can work on everything else once we have built out the structure. You can see that it launches the server right here, and we have our files. And the reason why this hasn't changed, the fonts haven't changed, is because we haven't linked our index.css file. So on top of our index.html file, right below this, let me link the index.css file that we have created. So this is our index.css file. And you know what, let me cut it out from here. Let me place it on top of these other ones, so that our CSS file loads in first, and then Tailwind loads in, and then this loads in. And then we can remove this space. You know what, let me space this out of here. Yeah, that looks okay. And then now let's build all this out. So we are going to have the following. Let me check the mobile design. Okay, so the mobile, it's not all that complex. I mean, we don't even have a navbar, so that's looking nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, why does it keep doing that? So let's do this. So this is the header part. So let me cut this out, place it inside a header element, and paste this in. And then on top of this, I'm going to have a div, and then this div is going to be our logo. And because I want that when you click on our logo, then it goes back to the top, then I'm going to link this to a hashtag. And then inside here, I'm going to have an image which is coming from /images/logo. So this is our logo. And then this is our div. This is the end of the div. So I want this other part to be a navbar, which has a UL with 3 list items like so. And you know what, these list items are going to be buttons, and the reason I'm saying they're buttons is because they're not linking anywhere, so I don't want to have them in as hrefs. So just reformat this a bit. Okay, and probably you should have this into something like index.html, so that when you click on the image or on your logo, then it like takes you back to the home page. But you can have it as hashtag for this particular project because this project doesn't have any other pages, right? So basically just, it depends on whether you have multiple pages or not. And then this second part, let me see. So all the way up to get started, is another image, sorry, another section. So let's cut this out all the way up to here, cut it out, place it inside this section, and then inside an article, and then we can paste this in, and then we can cut this to be inside an h1, remove this space, and then cut this, place it inside a paragraph, and then you can cut this and place it inside a button. And then you know what, let me remove these spaces here as well, and here, and then this one. And then on top of this, we're going to have another article, and then this article is going to be our showcase image, so basically this one. And I think that should be, let me see, it should be illustration intro.png. Let's have in our image here coming from /images/illustration intro.png, and then we can do this. Let me see. I'm trying to build out the structure in my head first, because it has a background image here that you can see is behind the showcase, right? So I'm wondering whether to place this image on the showcase or on this other section. I'm still haven't figured that out yet, but let's just continue building up the structure and then we're going to figure it out. So this second section is going to be our grid. So access your files anywhere. And so for the grid, we're going to do this. It goes all the way up to store any type and shared. So all the way up to store any type and shared here. So cut this entire section out, place it inside a section, and then inside a div, let me say a div with a class of cards. And I'm only adding a custom class just to like to show me that this is the div with the class of cards that we're dealing on. And then how we're going to structure it is this. We're going to have an article. So each of these is going to be one article, and then it's going to have an image, then the h2 or the h3, and then the paragraph. So it says this. Let me see. We have this part. Cut it out, place it inside an article. You can place it inside a div if you want, really. Cut this out, place it inside an h3. Cut this out, place it inside a paragraph. And then on top of this, we're going to have an image, which is coming from /images, and should be access anywhere. This one, correct? And then cut this out, do the same thing. So article, and then on top of this, we have the image /images/ should be security. And then cut this out, place it inside an h3. Cut this out, place it inside a paragraph. And then for this one again, have an article, have an image coming from /images, and it is called real-time collaboration. So let me see. Oops. What's it called? icon-real-time. Is there no collaboration? There we go. And then we can have this. So cut this out, place it inside an h3. Cut this out and place it inside a paragraph. And then one more time, do it for this one. Cut it out, place it as an article. The image should be /images, and it is called icon file. I don't know its name. Let me see. Icon-any file. There we go. Paste this in, cut it out and paste it inside an h3, and then this one, paste it inside a paragraph. Okay. Remove this space, and this space, and then remove this space. Let me see, what are we missing? That should be the div with the class of cards. Okay. And then we have stay productive wherever you are. So stay productive. Let me see. Okay, so what we're going to do is see how this background image, sorry, not the background image, like the background is a bit darker than this first one on top. See this part? And it goes all the way up to, actually even up to the footer, right? Even up to the footer. So even this section, maybe being the keyword. So what I'm going to do is just cut this section out, and then let me see where this ends. So it ends all the way up to get started for free. So just scroll the way down up to get started for free, and then paste in our end section. So that entire section is going to be like the darker background. And then what we're going to do now is this div with a class of cards, we're going to just style it out correctly, and then we can add in this other section with that to be another div. So stay productive. Let me see, stay productive. We have the image, we have this. Let me see. So up to see how Fylo works, up to here. Cut this out, place it inside a div, and then we're going to have an image on top of this. Let me place it inside an article, and then add in our images / it's called stay productive, this one. And then we're going to have another article that covers this entire section. So article, paste this in. This is going to be an h2, and then this is going to be a paragraph. Oops, this is going to be a paragraph, right? And then this is going to be another paragraph, and then this is going to be a link. So oops, this one, this is going to be an href that's not going anywhere. We can paste this in, and then it has this icon here. So we're going to have an image here coming from the slash images / icon dash arrow, should be icon dash arrow. And then you're going to see how we're going to style this out. And then let me see, we have our testimonial sections next. So for our testimonials, it goes all the way up to here. So just cut this out up to here. Oops, is that? Yeah, that is correct. So up to here, cut this out, place it inside the div, and I'm going to give this div a class of testimonials. Again, this is just to show me that we are now dealing in the testimonial sections, but we're probably not going to create these classes in CSS anyway. And then we're going to have this. So first of all, we have an image come from / images, and it is called the quotes, the BG quotes. So this icon right here. And then we're going to have an article. So this is going to be an article, and the article is going to be the paragraph, and then this image, and then the name of the person here. So let's go ahead and cut this out. So cut this out to be a paragraph, and then below this, let me see, below this we're going to have a div. This div is going to have an image coming from / images / this should be what is the icon, profile1.png. And then below this image we're going to have a UL with 2 list items, the first list item being the name of the person here, and then founder and CEO. So the name of person here, and then founder and CEO. Cut this out, paste it here, and basically this is going to be the structure for the rest of them all. So we're going to cut this out all the way to here. Then below this we're going to have an article. Cut this out. Isn't this the same text? Oh, it's the same text. Okay. So cut this out, paste it into the paragraph. Cut this out, place it inside a div, and then have our image coming from / images / profile2. Then we're going to have a UL with 2 list items. Cut this out, paste it here. Cut this out, paste it here. There we go. Okay, and then we have a final article, and then just grab this, paste it here, grab this, paste it inside the paragraph, grab this, place it inside the div. On top of this, let's have our image come from / images / profile3, and then grab this, have it inside the UL with 2 list items, and then grab this second part here, cut it out, paste it into this second list item, and we're going to have that. And then we're going to create our call to action section next. Okay, so for the call to action we have this part, and let me see, how do I want to do this? I can grab this and place it inside the div, place it inside the div with a class of CTA. And the class of CTA, what does it do, by the way? Just add this font family. Maybe I think I might have to change this up a bit. So inside the class of CTA we have a form. Sorry, is it a form? Oh, let's style this out first. So we have an h2, and then we have a paragraph. Come on, a paragraph, and then we have the form, and then get started for free is the submit button. So we're going to have a form which has no action, and then we're going to have an input with a type of email, with a name of email, with an ID of email, with some placeholder text that says email@example.com, email@example.com, and then can set it to required, but it's not necessary. And then we're going to have a button with a type of submit that says get started for free, and then we're going to have a custom class of this button called btn, so that we can apply the styles that we're going to create for this button. Let me see, is the button anyone else? So even this one, so this one should also have a custom class of btn. And then let me just confirm whether I did that, by the way. It should be here. So just give this button a class of btn, and then we can go back to the bottom, and then can go ahead and create our footer. So cut this out, paste it inside a footer, and paste this in. And then we're going to change this div. Now we're going to change this footer is now no longer going to be a footer, but it's going to be a div, so that we only have one footer. And then on top of this, let's see how this is structured. So we have the logo, we have this part. You know what, I should probably check the desktop design. Okay, so the desktop design is as follows. So we have the image, and then we have 1 2 3 4 5 grids. Okay, so let me do this. Let me have an article here which is going to be our image, img, from coming from /images/logo. And then this entire section, now we're going to place it inside the div with a class of footer-inner, like so. And then we're going to cut this out. Let me see. So it has an image first of all. So I'm going to place it inside the footer. And before I place it in, I'm going to add our image, because the image is going to be this location icon right here. And then I'm going to say add a location icon, so icon location here. And then now I can paste this in. Okay. And then we're going to have a UL. So let me see, footer inner paragraph. Okay, footer inner paragraph. So this can be a UL with 2 list items. And then these list items are going to have images as well, because the images are going to be these icons here. And then let me just add them in. So /images / should be phone, icon phone. And then the text for this is going to say the phone number, obviously, and then cut this part. And then this second one is going to be /images / icon email. And then the email is going to say this. And then just to mention something, if you want that when someone clicks on the phone number, it automatically like opens up a dialog box or goes to your phone application if you're on mobile, then you can cut this out and place it inside an href. And then the href here is going to go into a telephone number, and then paste in your telephone number, and then you can paste this in. So basically it's telling that when you click on this, then call this number. And then on the email, if you want the email to do the same thing, then you can cut it out, place it inside an href, and then you can say mail to, and then pass in the email that you want, like to like, what's it called, to open up when you click on the email. And then, and by the way, you can also add a subject to this, but I can't remember how to do it. You can do some research. And then this part here is going to be a UL as well, with 4 list items, I think they are. And then cut this out, paste it inside here, cut this out, paste it inside here, cut this out, paste it inside here, and then remove this space. There we go. And then finally this one, UL with 3 list items. Cut this out, paste it here, cut this out, paste it here, then remove this space. And then we need our social media icons. So below this, we're going to have another UL with 3 list items, and then these list items are going to be icons. And now let me not do it like that. Let me just have 3 list items here. The first one is the Facebook icon. So probably they should be anchor tags, right? And let me just have them as hashtags for now. But this first one is going to be an icon with the class of FAB and FA-Facebook. That's how you add icons from Front Awesome. And then the second one is FAB and FA-Twitter, FA-Twitter. Is it Twitter? And then Instagram. So an icon with a class of FAB and FA-Instagram. Instagram. There we go. And you should probably research these classes, by the way. Please research these classes because they keep on changing. And then let me see. So if you want this to go into Facebook, then all you have to do is just change this link into like the Facebook link that you want to open up, for example. And then this is going to be going to the person's profile or something like that. Okay, and then you can do the same thing for this. So https twitter.com, and then this one is going to say https into Instagram.com. There we go. And then change this into my website. .com. Change this to my name. There we go. And then now we can finally save this. So save, and then we can see what we have on the screen right here. There we go. So you can see like it's a very bland design for now, but you can see that everything is working as we expect it to. Okay, so now I can place my code editor to the left and then place this to the right so that you can just begin styling it side by side. And the first thing that I want to do is change the background color. So the body should have a dark background color, which should be, let me see, intro and email sign up background. So this one here, copy this, and then inside the index.html, just give the body a background color of this. Save it. There we go. And then now let's begin to style it out section by section. So inside the header, we're going to give this a class of flex and item center and justify dash between, which is going to take the items to the end here. And then let me see, let me go inside the header as well. Let me add a padding around of 8 to push it inwards just a bit. And then let's go inside this image, give this image a width of dash 40 to reduce it a bit. That's too big. Let's say 24 for mobile screens, obviously. And then let's go inside this UL, give this UL a class of flex and item center and justify dash center with a gap of around 4 to push, like to separate them out just a bit. And then inside the buttons here, so you can click here and hold down the Alt key and click here and here to add multiple cursors. We're going to give this a class of text dash white and text dash small to reduce their size. There we go. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to add a custom class of list item here, list dash item, because remember that the items that have a class of list item are going to be applied the font family of railway. So right here. Okay. And so that is our header. And then what I'm going to do is right on the header, I'm going to add a max width here of 7XL, so that on extremely large screens, or rather not extremely large screens, but on large screens, then the header is not going to go all the way to the end. You can see that it is limited up to here. But if you want it to be centered properly, then you have to have a class of MX auto here, which is going to bring it to the center. And so we're going to be doing that for all the sections basically. So shrink this back up, and then let's go inside the section here. Okay, give this a class of padding all around of 8. Let's go inside. The image can remain as it is, like it doesn't really bother me. Let's go inside the H1. I'm going to give this a class of text white and font bold and text 3XL. And then for medium screens, I'm going to say increase the text to 4XL. And then for extra large screens, then I'm going to say increase the text to 5XL. And then let's give it a margin bottom of 8 to push away from this paragraph. And then let me see, let's go inside this article. We're going to give this a class of text dash center. Is the text centered? Let me see. Yeah, it's centered. Is it centered even on mobile? Yeah, it's centered even on mobile. Okay. Okay, and then let's go inside this paragraph. We're going to give this a class of text dash small. Just to reduce the size a bit, it doesn't really matter all that much. Let's say margin bottom of 10 to push away from this button. And then let's say text dash white with a leading dash loose to increase its line height. There we go. Okay, this is too small. Let's remove this. Okay, and then let's change this. Let me remove that. Oh, wait a minute. I already added a line height on the paragraph. Yeah, I already added this in. So let me just make sure that it's working. Yeah, it's working correctly. Okay. And then now let's create this custom class of btn so that these buttons can be styled out. So right below here, I'm going to create a class of btn. I'm going to give this a background color of, should be cyan, I think. Let me see. Dark blue, cyan. Inside this one should be this one. Copy and then paste it inside here. Is that? Yeah, that's it. And then let's give it a padding all around. All right, let me say a padding of, let's say 0.625 rem on the top and bottom, and 2 rem on the left and right. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, that's fine. And you know what? This button also has a font family of railway. Yes, it does. So let's go inside here, and then let's also give this a class of list item so that the font family of railway is also going to apply on the button as well. Okay, and why is this button now aligned to the left? Why are you now aligned to the left? What did I do here? Font family. Huh. Really? Remove this. What? How does that class mess with this? How does adding this class here mess with the button? Are you serious? Does it mess with the other one on the bottom? It doesn't. Huh. Interesting. Is it because of this? No. Okay. Let's change the color here to white. Change the font, the text color to white. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Text color white. Move this upwards, and then let's add the border radius. Let's say 30 pixels. Then let's say font weight. Change this to, actually not. Will bold even work properly? Yeah, that should do well. That should do well. And then let me say display block and margin 0 on the top and bottom and auto on the left and right, which should push it back to the center. There we go. And then now we're going to deal with this section next. So for this section, we're going to have this. So this section that has the div with the class of cards. Okay. So this section needs to have a custom background color. And the background color should be main background. Is it this one? It should be this one. Copy this and paste it. Let's say background color. Oops, background color. Paste this in. There we go. There we go. There we go. Fantastic. And you know what? Let's go inside this section because I want to increase the padding on the Y. You see how this padding, like it looks just a bit small for me. Oh, or is it because we haven't added the background image yet? Okay, so I haven't added the background image yet. So let's just hold off from adding the padding here. And then let's go inside this section. Let's give this a class of padding Y-20. There we go. And then padding on the X of 8. And then we're going to have a max width of 7XL. And then let me see, we're also going to have an MX of auto so that it centers it on large screens. And then we're going to do this inside this H3. We're going to give this a class of text dash white, font dash bold, margin bottom of 8. And then we're going to say this. What else do we need to say? We need to say margin top. Not, let me do this. Let me say margin top of 8, margin bottom of 4. And then let's increase the text size to 2XL. And then for medium screens, or let me say for large screens. No, let me say for medium screens, then the text should be what's it called? Should be 3XL. That should be fine. Is this too big on mobile? I think that's too big on mobile. So let's change this to XL. Change this to 2XL. There we go. And then let's go inside this image. I'm going to give this a class of block and MX auto so that it is centered. And then, you know what, let's go inside this article, give this article a class of text dash center, that it also centers everything here. And then let's go inside this paragraph, give this a class of text dash white, text white. There we go. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat the classes for these other articles. And so, you know what, let me just copy the one that has a bit more classes. So for the H3, copy this, paste it inside this H3, paste it inside this H3, and paste it inside this H3. Let's see, we need to access these articles as well, and then paste it inside here, and inside here, and inside here. So instead of just typing everything out again, we just copy and pasting, and then copy this on the images, copy and paste it here, and paste it here, and paste it here. And then finally we need the paragraphs. So paragraphs text white. So copy this and paste it here, and paste it here, and paste it here. So that when I save this, then this is all going to reset. There we go. And then now we can display it as a grid. So back inside the parent div, remember the div with the class of cards. Now we can remove this, and we can say display grid on this with grid columns dash 1. So one column to begin with on mobile with a gap of, let's say, 16. How big is it on mobile actually? Let me see. It's quite a big gap, right? So gap 16 should do it. Let's say gap 20 on mobile. So we're going to have this looking quite nice. And then now we can go ahead and also say, how does it look on larger screens? So 2 grids basically. So I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that for medium screens, then the grid columns should be 2. Okay, and just to show you how we are basically adding responsiveness, so that when I increase this to about medium screens, which is 768 pixels, then we're going to have this. And let me see how it's styled out on larger screens. So everything is still centered even on larger screens, so not much to change really, not much to change, but you can see that it's already working correctly, and we already added the oops. Oh, you know what? The reason why this doesn't go to the end is because we added the max width on the parent where we had placed the background color. Where is it? I missed it. Here. We placed the max width on the parent where we added the background color. So what we can do is we can remove this from here, cut this out. Oops. And then we can place it inside here, and then that should fix it. There we go. Okay. And then let's see, we're also going to fix this, by the way. We didn't add responsiveness for this, but we're going to fix it. And then let's go ahead and let's say this. Let's go inside this section, and this section should be the div of stay productive, right? So inside this div, what I want to do is first of all add a class of padding y of 20 to push it away from this part here, as well as from the bottom part, which is the testimonial section. And then what we're going to do is this. We're going to go inside this h2, give this a class of text white and font bold, and let's say, is it centered? Where's the design? So it's here. So this part is not centered, and so we're going to say this. We're going to say margin bottom of 8 to push away from the paragraph. Then let's say text 3xl to increase its size, and then on medium screens, let's say text dash 4xl to make it even bigger. And then, you know what, let me just say here margin y of 8, so margin on the top and bottom to push away from the image as well as from the text. Let's go inside this paragraph. We're going to give this a class of text dash white, and then just copy this class here, paste it inside this other paragraph. Let's see. Okay, and then we need to increase the margin. We need to increase the margin on this one, so margin bottom of 4 to separate them out, because in the design they're separated out just a bit. And then we can do the same thing for this one, so margin bottom of 4. And then we can go inside this href. We're going to give this a class of, should be the very same cyan, this one. Copy this, and then let's just add a style here. So style is equal to change the color into this. There we go. And then we're going to style this out, so give this custom classes of underline, so that it has an underline here. And then is it I think it is smaller text than this other one. Just say text dash small. There we go. And then here, because we want this image to come here, right? So we're going to give this a class of flex, and then we're going to say items dash center, and then add a gap of 2 just to separate it out just a bit, and the image comes there. Let's see. Okay. And you know, this is not even an underline, by the way. It is a border on the bottom. So let's say border dash bottom. And you know what, because this class isn't really accessible in Tailwind, let me add it as a custom classes here. So let's say border to be 2 pixels solid, and then this very same color HSL 176. Add a border on the bottom, so this should be border dash bottom. So that goes all the way to the end. Can I fix that by making this? Let me remove this for a moment. Let me see what happens. Yeah, I guessed it was because of that. So item center, and then let's say justify dash start should fix it. Items dash start. Okay, that doesn't fix it at all. So you know what, let me just remove this from here. Remove this. Oops, no, what am I doing? I wanted to remove this. Okay, and then let's just have the class of underline here. Yeah, and then let's deal with our testimonial sections next. So this part here, so each of these articles has a background color, which is this one, and the background color should be the testimonial backgrounds, this one. So copy this, and then what we're going to do is inside our index.html, we are going to go inside this article, going to give this a style, of background dash color and then paste this in, which is going to change the background color of this first one. And then we're just basically going to copy this, paste it inside the second article, and then inside this third article. That should do it. There we go. And then we're going to go inside the parent div of these articles. Where are you? Come on, here. We're going to remove this class, and then we're going to display this as a grid with grid dash columns dash 1 with a gap of 8 to separate them out. How large is it on mobile? Yeah, not so large. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. So this also behaves as a grid. Oh, let me move it outwards. Yeah, that also behaves as a grid. So what I'm going to do is this. Therefore, I'm going to grab these entire articles, all 3 articles all the way up to here, cut them out, and then I'm going to place them inside another div, paste them in, and then inside this div, I'm going to grab these classes and then paste them in, so that now this is not going to be affected by the classes of grid. And then now let's go inside these articles. So just at the end of this, let's give this a class of padding or round of 6 with a rounded border, rounded, very slightly rounded. Does that even work? Let's say rounded dash 2xl. How rounded are these? Not so much. They're not so much rounded. Okay, so let me say rounded dash large. How does large look? Yeah, let's do large. And then let me grab this image. Let me add a class of minus margin bottom of 5 to push it just downwards a bit. That's too much. Let's say 1. Let's say 2. That should do it. That's like technically how it looks in the design. And then, you know what? Let me see the bigger image here. Yeah, see how the bigger image, like it's just like what's the word? Like it goes behind the card just a bit. And then we're going to have this. So let's go ahead and let's continue styling this out. So inside this paragraph, give this a class of text dash white and margin bottom 8. And then inside this div, we're going to give this div a class of flex and item center and justify start with a gap of 3. Gap. Separate them out just a bit. Go inside this image, give this a class of width dash 20. How large is that? Too large. Let's say width dash 12. And then let's say rounded dash full to make it completely rounded. And then let's go inside this first list item, give this a class of font bold and text dash white and text dash large. And then inside the second list item, give this a class of, what was it? Text white should do it. Let me see. It's a bit smaller. It is a bit smaller. So let's say text dash small here. Okay. And would you look at that? So all you need to do now is just do the same thing for these other classes, for these other articles really. So let's just do a bit of copying and pasting. So copy this class here, paste it on this article and on this article. And then let's go inside this paragraph, copy this class, paste it on this article, on this paragraph, sorry, and then on this paragraph. And then after that, we need to go inside this div. So copy these classes, paste them here, and paste them here. And then after that, we need the images. So here, copy this, paste them on the image here, and on the image here. And then finally, we need the ULs. So font bold. So let me just copy this first one. The second one is text white and text small. So copy them, paste it here. Give this second one a class of text dash white and text dash small. And then on the third one, paste this in. Give this a class of text dash white and text dash small. Okay, so save this and then let's see. There we go. And that is our testimonial section. And then now finally, let's go ahead and create our, you know what, let me go inside the parent div of these articles and let me add a margin bottom here. So the parent div should be this one. Let me add a margin bottom of 20. Push it from this exactly. And then let's go inside our form now, or inside our call to action section, and this has a background color as well. So let's just grab it. So it says intro and email sign up. So this one, copy and paste it inside here as a background color. Paste it in. Oh, that is going to does it really? Does it mess up with something? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. How does it look on mobile? Okay, okay. It doesn't mess up anything. That's nice. That's nice. So let's do this. Let's go inside this div, and inside here let's give this a padding all round of, let me see, padding all round of 8 with a rounded dash large. How does that look? Okay, with a very slight box shadow, or let me say shadow dash 2xl. How does that look? Because like I can see that it has a box shadow here. See how it has a like it's kind of accentuated a bit, as it is as if it is elevated from the from the body. That's the box shadow. And then let's go inside this h2, give this a class of text white, font bold, text 2xl, and then for medium screens text 3xl, margin bottom 8. And then let's go inside this paragraph, give this a class of text white, margin bottom 8 as well. Save this. Let's see what we have. Okay, how does this look? So this is full width for both of them. So inside here, let's go inside this input and give this a class of width dash 4, padding y of 3, padding x of 4, rounded dash full. Is it rounded full? Yes, it's rounded full. And then let's say placeholder dash, let me say placeholder, what color is this? Gray dash 400. How does that look? And then let's also say text small, because the text is small in the design. Then let's say margin bottom of 4 to push away from the button. And then inside here, let's give this a class of width dash full. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, would you look at that? That is our call to action section. But then notice how the call to action section is kind of on the footer. Where's the design here? See how like the footer begins here? Let me add the background color on the footer actually, so that you can actually see it properly. So on the footer, I'm going to give this a style here, give this a background color, really. So give this a background color on the footer. Where is it? Here. Copy this and paste it inside here, so that the footer has a different background color. There we go. And then now what we're going to do is, because we need this to come kind of on top of the footer, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back inside this section and remove this padding on the bottom. So inside this section that begins here, I'm going to only say padding top of 20, so that we don't have this padding on the bottom, right? Because we're going to be adding a negative margin to this so that it moves downwards, just like we did for the quotation mark. And so where's the footer here? Let me add it here. So I'm going to give this a class of padding on the x of 8, and then padding on the top of, let me say 52, and padding on the bottom of 20. So increase the padding top massively, so that now I'm going to add a negative margin to this so that it pushes up on top of this one. And I hope it works. So inside here, I'm going to say minus margin bottom, and let's say 32. Okay, so you can see that it works technically, but then we need this to be on top of it. So let me add a class of relative here, and that should do it. There we go. Because the class of relative has a higher z index than the one that only has the background color. So margin top 32, let's 32 here, let's reduce this to about 40. How is this in the design? So it's kind of just on top of the input, and you know, actually that works really, and that actually works. And so now what we need to do is just probably increase the padding on top of the footer. So here, let's increase this to about 64. 64, does 60 exist? Yeah, let's use 60. I think 60 is much better. I think 60 is much better. And then now what I'm going to do is inside this div the class of footer inner, I'm going to remove this custom class. I'm going to add a max width of 7XL here and an MX of auto that it just limits everything. And then I'm also going to add a class of grid here with grid columns 1 with a gap of 20. I think I added a gap of 20 on the top ones, but here it seems to be just a bit less. So let me just say padding a gap of 6 to begin with. And then inside this paragraph, let's give this a class of flex and item center and justify dash start with a gap of around 3 so that this image pushes away from the paragraph a bit. And then let's say text white here. Okay, let's say item start, not item center, so that this moves to the top. Wait. Oh, so the reason why it is like a bit on top of this is because of the line height that I added. I added a line height here. This should be the reason. Let me see. Okay, it's not. So never mind. So let's go ahead and let's just continue styling this out. So let's say margin top of 10 pushed away from the logo. Let me see. Okay, let's go inside this list item and inside this second one as well. So click on this first one and then hold down the alt key, click on the second one to add multiple cursors. So give this a class of flex and then items dash center and justify dash start with a gap of 3. And then let's say actually that's not going to work here. So let's go inside this href here, and where's the second one here? Give this a class of text dash white. And then let's go inside this first list item. Let's say margin bottom of 3 to push away from this one just a bit. Let's say 6. Too much. Let's say 4. And then let's go inside this list item. I'm going to give this a class of text dash white. That should do it. And then let me say, are they separated out? They are separated out just a bit. Oh, and is this font? No, this font is still open sans. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Why does this font look like this? Did I do something? Okay. So inside this list item, you know what? Let me just make this to be a flex box. Instead of adding margins on each one of them, I can just add a gap singular. So flex and flex column and items. You know what? Flex column should do it already. And then gap of around 3 to separate them out. There we go. So instead of adding margin bottom of this one and then on this one and then on this one and then do the same thing for this, we can just do this. So just copy these classes and paste them here. And that should do it. There we go. And then let's go inside these list items as well. And you know what, inside these list items, I'm going to go inside here. So click on this first one, hold down the alt key, click on the second one and on this one as well, and say text dash white and text dash 2XL to make them larger. So the social media icons. And then inside the UL, I'm going to give this a class of flex and items dash center. How are these structured actually? So these ones are pushed to the center. So item center and justify center. Add a gap of 4 to separate them out. There we go. And then let's just add a margin top of 8 to increase this gap a bit. And then inside this UL as well, I think I'm going to add a margin top. Sorry, a margin bottom actually. Wait, which UL am I on? Inside this UL, inside this one, I'm going to add a margin top of about 6 probably. Increase this gap. There we go. And then probably do the same even for this one. So margin top 6 as well. To separate them out. That's much better. That is much better. And then now all we need to do is just scale this up. You can see that it's looking manageable on medium screens. These are tablet sized screens. You can see it's manageable, but then on large screens it becomes a bit horrible, right? And so now let's begin from the bottom going to the top. So back on the footer, let's go back to our footer, which should be here. And I'm going to go inside. Oh, I already added the class of max width here. Oh, okay, that's nice. So max width here and MX auto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that for medium screens, then the grid column should be 2. Let's see what happens. There we go. And then let's see. So this image still goes all the way to the end, and that is because it doesn't have a max width. So inside this article, let's give this a class of max width 7XL and MX auto, and that should fix it. Let me see. There we go. And then let's go ahead and let me see. I have a margin on top of this paragraph. Is it here? So let me try something. Let's say for medium screens margin top 0, just to see whether it's going to push back on top. Okay, so that does it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go inside this article and say for medium screens margin bottom should be 10. There we go. So it pushes everything downwards, right? Instead of now adding margin top on this one and then on this one, and so on and so forth. And then now this is how it's going to look on medium screens. But on medium screens, I want this to go back here. So let's go to our social media icons, which is this one right here. Let's say that for medium screens, then I want items to be, no, not items, but should be justify start. That should bring it back to the start here. There we go. Okay, okay. And then let's go back to our div here. And then let's say that for XL screens, then the grid columns should be 4. We should now 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct? Is that correct? Is this correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let me not say this on XL. Let me say this is for large screens. And then you can see that it has a margin on top here and here because we added margin top. And you know what? Let me just go ahead and add for SL screens, then the grid columns should be 5. There we go. And then let's go ahead inside this UL and say that for large screens, then the margin top should be 0. And then here as well, for large screens, then the margin top should be 0. And then let's see here, this is the social media images. We're going to say that for large screens, then the margin top should be 0. Is this for large screens or for extra large screens? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then now we need this to come on top, and we can do that by saying but that for extra large screens, then items dash start. That should do it. Move on top. There we go. And then now, you know what? Let me increase the gap here. This gap is a bit too small for me. Or I can increase, let me see. I think I can increase the width of this paragraph. Where is it here? So let's go ahead and let me say that for large screens, then the width should be a half. Oops. Let me say width dash full. That doesn't work. So just remove it. But we can increase the gap here. So for large screens, let's increase the gap to about 16. That should do it. It's a bit not so nice. And then let's move this image downwards just a bit. So here, let's give this a class of margin top of about 2. Just to push this image downwards a bit. There we go. And then you know what? Let me also reduce the font size of this text. So text small. That should do it. That should do it for this one. And then let's go ahead and deal with our call to action section, which is this one. So for our call to action, this div right here, let's go ahead and add a max width to this. Oops, not here. Should be on the class. So max width 7XL and MX auto. And you know what? The max width for this one is not even 7XL. It's much less. It's much less. So let's reduce this to about 4XL. And then this should now be centered. So the text should be centered, and then this should be placed side by side. So let's see. Where is it? Here on the H2. Let me say that for large screens, then text dash center. Center the text. And then for the paragraph as well, for large screens, text dash center. And if you can hear some noise from outside, I do apologize, but I can't really do anything about it. And then let's increase the margin bottom here. So let's say for large screens, margin bottom 12. Okay, and then let's now place this form side by side. Let's first of all remove the margin bottom. So let's say for large screens, margin bottom should be 0. And then let's go ahead inside this form, give this a class and say that for large screens, then display this as a flexbox. There we go. And then you know what, where is it? I said width full somewhere here. Let's say for large screens that the width should be auto. There we go. And then let's do the same thing on this button. Let's say that for large screens then the width should be auto. Okay, how does it look? There we go. And you know what, let's persist this on the input. Let's persist it on the input. How does this look? Okay, we are going to do this. Therefore, let's say let's say that for large screens then the width should be 7 out of 12. Width dash. Okay, width dash 7 out of 12 does work. And then here let's also give it a max width of XL. Let me see. And then let's say MX auto. And then let's increase this to 2XL. That works. And then let's go ahead and deal with this section next. So our testimonial section should be this div. Is it? Where are you? This one. So this is our div that we want actually. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's say that for medium screens, grid columns 2. Then for large screens, grid columns 3. Can you see? There we go. And then let's go ahead inside this div, give this a class of max with 7XL and MX auto to center everything. Fantastic. And then let's go ahead and deal with this section next. So this div, which starts here, let's give it a max with 7XL and MX auto, center everything. There we go. And then how is it structured? So image first and then the text. Okay, so we're going to have this, we're going to do this. We're going to say that for at what point do I want this to display as 2 grids? On medium still looks a bit nice, so let me display it on large screens. So large screens, let me say display this as a flexbox. So here and here, and let me not say flexbox, let me just say grid. And then let's say for large screens then grid columns should be 2, grid columns 2, place it side by side. And then for large screens, let's say place dash items dash center. Move this downwards. There we go. Let's say for large screens, let's add a gap of 16. Separate them out. Fantastic. Would you look at this? I'm going to increase this spacing just a bit. And you can see that this one, we already displayed it as a grid, so it's looking nice. And then now we only need to deal with our section. And our section is this one. Our showcase is what I mean. So here, which comes first, the image or the text? Oh, it is just centered. Okay, it's just centered. So let me go ahead inside this image, give this a class of block and MX auto, which is going to center it, bring it here. Let's give it margin bottom of 10. Okay, and then let's say for large screens, then margin bottom 20. And then let's go inside this article, give this article a max width of about XL with an MX of auto, which is going to center everything here. This is too small, right? Yeah, it's too small. So let me say max width 2XL. How does this look on design? Location should be the last word. Location should be the last word. And what is the text here? So 1, 2, 3 lines. Okay, yeah. That's actually not going to work. So let's say just say max with 3XL. Yeah, let's just work with max with 3XL, and then let's increase the line height for this H1 because it's a bit too they're touching too much really. So let's say that for SL screens then the leading should be normal, which is going to just increase the line height just a bit. Yeah, okay, that's too much. Let's say leading dash 6. Okay, leading 10. Leading tight. Yeah, let's have leading tight. And so now what we're remaining with is need to increase this logo. Which is this one here. Let's say that for large screens, then the width should be auto. Bring it back to its original size. And then now what we need to do is, let's see, increase the spaces here. Let me just check the design. The designs are a bit more spaced out. So let's go inside this div, which is the testimonials. And the testimonials should be this one, right? This one's. And let's see the testimonials. Let me add a padding y here of 20. How does that look? And let me say this is for large screen so that the padding doesn't apply for all screens. This is much better. That is much better. Okay, and then probably I should restyle this a bit to be visible. So all the way to the bottom, change, remove this class here, change this into text white. Actually, does that work? Text white, text center. Let's give this class here of underline, copy it, and paste it here as well. And then let me go ahead and say text dash small. How does this look? That looks okay. That does look okay. What happens if I grab this div and put it inside the footer? Does it mess up the styling in any way? Yes, it does. Okay, I don't know what to deal with that. So let's just have it outside. It doesn't really matter that much. But what I can do is just increase the padding a bit. Padding y of 4. Just increase the padding just a bit. And then padding x of 2. Doesn't really matter padding x, but yeah, just good to have it in case the screen is too small. And then now let's go ahead and let's add in our final image, our background image. And the way I'm thinking about it is I'm just going to add the background image and then position it absolute within this showcase. So we're going to do this. Let's go back into our showcase. Should be the top one here. And it should be, let me do it on top of this. Yeah, let me do it on top of this, where I'm going to have a picture tag. And then this inside this picture tag, we're going to be targeting a min width of about 768 pixels, where I'm going to have the source set coming from /images. I misspelled this. Images, and should be bg curvy mobile. Sorry, desktop. So bg curvy desktop dot svg. And then we're going to have an image tag which is coming from /images /bg curvy mobile. And basically what this means is that when the device width is greater than 768 pixels, then the desktop image is going to show. Otherwise, the mobile image is always going to show. So that when I save this, then this is going to affect the layout just a bit. You can see right here. So this is the desktop image. And then when I scroll down to less than 768 pixels, notice it changes. There we go. So now we have the mobile image. And then when I increase it, we have the desktop image. So what we want to do is we want to style this out. So I'm going to go and set this picture tag, give this a class of absolute and width dash full. That it's going to be taken out of the normal flow of the body. And then I'm going to I want to bring this to the bottom, right? So I'm going to say bring it to the bottom by 0. And it's going to not really do anything other than that really. But I want it to be positioned to the bottom relative to this section. So I'm going to go inside this section and give this a class of relative. Let me see. There we go. So that now it is now completely to the bottom, but it is dependent on this section. So if this section was to go all the way to the bottom, then this one is going to be on the bottom of that section. And then I want this to be a full width image. So let me go inside this image, give this a class of width as full so that it spans all the way to the end. Okay, so something is wrong here because we have a padding 8 here. So that means then I have to say left of 0 as well so that it begins on the left. There we go. And then now when I increase it, you can see that the image just continues to increase even on larger screens, and that's okay really. And then now what we need to do is I want this image to be behind the text, right? So that the text is readable. So I'm going to go inside here, give this a negative z index of 10, which should bring it behind the image, behind the text. Does that not work? Negative z index of 10, negative z index of 50. Oh, you know what? It's because Tailwind version 2 doesn't have negative z indexes yet. So let's give this a style of z index, let's say -10. Should bring it behind. There you go. So that now we have the text on top of the image and everything else. And even on mobile screens, we have that. Okay, so that's looking quite okay, right? It's looking quite okay. I don't think I'm remaining with anything else. And that is actually the complete project. So all we need to do is now just create a GitHub repository and submit it. So let's go into GitHub, let's create a repository, and then let's also log into Netlify so that we can deploy it. And so I can now close all of this down. Let me open up my terminal using Ctrl J. Okay, make sure that we are in the correct folder. Oops. And then let's create a GitHub repository. We can close this. Inside here, let's log into Netlify, create a new repository, and then we're going to create a new repository. We're going to call this Fylo duck theme dash landing dash page. Create repository, and then this already logged in, so add a new site from GitHub here. And then now what we're going to do is just copy this link, which is the link to our remote repository, and then we're going to say git init, which is going to initialize an empty git repository into this folder, so that all the files now are going to be untracked. And then I'm going to say git add all, which is going to add everything, and then git commit. I'm just going to say initial commit dash project complete, and then I'm going to say git remote add origin, and then paste in the link to my remote repository, and then git push dash u origin main, which is now going to push everything to GitHub. And the commands that I've done are just basically this. Okay, and just wait for this to push. There we go. We can reload it, and our repository is going to be here. There we go. So let's just search for this repository in here. So Fylo duck theme landing page. Loading, still loading. There we go. So this repository, and then we can just say deploy site, deploying, and then let's change the site name here, change site name into TsbSankara. Let's say Fylo duck theme. There we go. And this should have already deployed, so that now, oops, not yet. Okay, where are you? Not yet deployed, still starting up. So that is going to deploy, and that is going to be the link to our remote repository. Let's just hope that this deploys sometime today. So let me just wait a moment. Okay, so once it finishes deploying, then we can visit this, and our website is going to be here. Fantastic. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just copy this link and go back into Frontend Mentor and say submit solution, which is going to be this live site URL, and then copy this link. It is going to be the repository URL, and then let's just give it the title of mobile first Fylo duck theme landing page. Let's say HTML and Tailwind CSS. Let me remove this and say in. There we go. And then just say submit solution. And then we wait a moment, and then this solution is going to be submitted. And there we go. We can say view solution to compare it against the design here. So you can check it out. Not so bad. Not so bad. Yep. And would you look at that? We have that as our complete project. We could have limited this a bit more, and even this part. But yeah, would you look at that? That's looking okay. That's looking okay. And so yeah, that is going to be the end of the video, and if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.